Olá a todos, os pais, amigos, que bom estarmos aqui novamente para um Bear Talk. É um prazer termos a Miss Jane conosco novamente. Veio do Canadá para passar algumas semanas com a gente aqui nas escolas e compartilhar também com a gente um pouquinho do seu conhecimento de algo tão importante. Vale lembrar que a Miss Jane ela já fez um outro Bear Talk conosco alguns meses atrás, sobre resiliência, autoconfiança e autonomia. E hoje ela está aqui para falar um pouquinho para nós sobre a importância do brincar na infância. So, welcome, Miss Jane. Thank you again for being here with us. We hope you come back. You haven't left yet, but we hope you come back. We love having you at the schools and also having the opportunity to learn more from you. Thank you very much.
Okay. Thank you, Felipe, and thank you for that warm welcome. I just want to say it's just a pleasure to be back here, Santo Andres de Cotano, and everybody just greeted me so warmly, and the children too. It was just fantastic. And we've just had a very busy, a very productive, busy time during the past 5 weeks. So my presentation today is the importance of play and play-based childhood. And I read this book a little while ago called The Anxious Generation. I am going to try my Portuguese. As you can see, it's also in Portuguese. A geração and it's ansiosa. And in this book by Jonathan Haidt, it's research based, and there's a lot of data to support his findings. And what he's saying is that we are discovering that many of our children have developed anxiety, and part of that is due to the phone, the iPhone, due to a lot of screen time. And in that way, children are moving away from what we call a play-based childhood to a phone-based childhood. But in reading this book, I really connected strongly to Maple Bear, to the Maple Bear methodology and pedagogy, especially in our early childhood education, where so much of the focus is on learning through play, because play really develops children's social, emotional, language, and also their cognitive development. And my presentation today is very much about focusing on how that play develops a young child. So in his book, Jonathan Haidt shares that children are becoming more anxious, struggling with mental health because they are spending less time socializing in person and more time glued to their screens. Girls are most likely to be pulled into the self-esteem world of social media. And I think as our children get older, we do experience how social media can play a huge influence, perhaps negatively, perhaps positively, but also negatively in how they think about themselves. And also with boys, they're more likely to become hooked on gaming or even worse. And so for resiliency and emotional well-being, childhood needs to be play-based and not phone-based. Children learn and develop skills needed for success through free and social play. And that's how our Maple Bear pedagogy methodology, it focuses on our early childhood. There's so much play, and they're learning through play. Because play develops, it creates neurons actually in the ways neurons like best, from a repeated activity with feedback from success and failure in a low stress stakes environment. I'm also just going to share with you something that I saw in a toddler class the other day. It was just truly amazing. They were playing, they were learning about houses and windows and doors and vocabulary. And then as they started playing, they started out of the material, they were actually making snow. And so they were just having this joyful moment playing. We were talking about snow and building snowmen, and they were learning so much in that experience. So, and as parents, we all want to protect our children. It's our natural instinct. In harmful and hurtful situations when our children are in danger, of course we intervene. We also want to allow our children to do things independently. We need them to do things on their own, and that's where that free play and that play allows children to do things more independently. We also need to allow them to make mistakes and to sometimes fail. Because of this, the developing brain is shaped by play. Again, why it's so important in our early childhood. Experience and not information is key to emotional development. And again, I'm going to keep bringing this back, the idea of learning through play. It's the experiences which our young children in early childhood are learning about. It's not so much about the information, but yesterday in toddler, as they were playing together, throwing the material up in the air, pretending that they were in snow and in a snowstorm, it was magical. Child-led free play is where children play make-believe to make sense of their world, learn about emotions. They also read others' emotions. They kind of start learning to resolve conflicts, how to handle their bruises. Sometimes they cry. They also learn how to play fair, build confidence, and resilience. So this is where Jonathan Haidt also discusses how evolution has instilled 3 strong motivators to make learning easy and likely for our early learners through free play, attunement, which I'll talk about, and social play. Children intrinsically are motivated to acquire these skills. They want to learn how to be attuned to one another, how to play socially, and how to also play freely and be creative, because they want to be included in the playgroups and keep the fun going. So actually, free play is the work of childhood, and that's what they do at Maple Bear in early years. They are playing and they're doing their job, and it needs to be done often and vigorously. And if we don't become socially, cognitively, I'm going to change that. So we can become socially and cognitively, emotionally impaired. We don't develop any of those skills if we are deprived of play. Play is so important. So to talk a little bit about attunement. So attunement is the ability to understand and to respond to others' feelings. It's like empathy, right? I understand how you're feeling. And it forms our attachments and begins as babies and young children who respond to our face making and our facial expressions with joy and smiles and giggles and laughter. And again, I just think about our children in our early years, and this is what they're doing. They're becoming so attuned to their teachers, to the adults, and then to one another. Then as children learn to talk, these bonds grow deeper. They learn skills, turn-taking, waiting, and timing, having to wait for things. It's going to take time, are all essential for social interaction. Attunement is essential for strong social development and serves as a foundation for emotional self-regulation. It is this ability to self-regulate as we become older, which develops resiliency. And if we think about it, as we play, we learn these skills. But if we are constantly learning through a phone, through our iPhones, it's much harder to develop any of those skills because we're not really developing those authentic connections with other people. So free play means children get to choose their play activities, and it's skills for life, decision-making, cooperation, compromise, and accepting consequences, sometimes losing, playing with some risk. We also learn through free play how not to get hurt. So if I go down the slide the wrong way, I might bump into somebody and I might get hurt and I might hurt them. And it also teaches us to take care of ourselves and I think take care of others as well. As they develop more, they learn more social play. So toddlers explore, discover, build things, take things apart, we run around, and they're certainly doing that in our toddler classrooms. Climbing up and over things until they become skilled at moving around their natural environment. Then as they become older, children move on to more predator play. They play tag, they play hide and seek. As they continue to grow, they develop more social skills, they communicate, they learn how to lose and how to win. They learn how to get along with others and compromise. They learn how to fit in and stay in the play group. So really, if you think about it, we all need to learn how to stay in the group, but also to have fun as they develop more verbal social skills. So that's even a little bit of teasing and joking around. And I find as I'm, working in some of the older classrooms, actually that banter, that joking around, that's the fun to me of learning. And in year 4 and 5, they really do like those conversations, and there's a lot of laughter. And this gives them skills for reading the non-verbal cues, for body language, and all the different nuances that we have to learn about how people are feeling and how we become more attuned to others. And these are skills which we learn by connecting with others. And it's very difficult to learn those skills just through the screen, and if we spend way too much time on the phone. So the book, the big message is that mental health and anxiety is an epidemic in children. And we're certainly finding this more and more in Canadian schools. And actually just recently, our schools too have started banning the use of phones. And research shows that this epidemic is strongly connected to the increase in the use of the smartphone. So therefore, to reduce the negative impact and support healthy well-being, Haidt recommends a few things. And he even says no social media before the age of 16. That is quite old, but that's one of his recommendations. He certainly recommends more independent play for children, and that we have phone-free schools. So being phone-free allows children and adolescents to be present. And I think it's that being present with each other and how to connect authentically with one another. And so some of these actions, of course, I agree, can be very difficult for us as adults and parents. And especially as our own devices are so necessary for our work and part of our daily lives. And as a result, we ourselves spend a lot more time on our smartphones. But I think what is important, and what to me is the message here, is that we create more opportunities for our children to play, to have free play, to be present with their friends, and to make healthy personal connections. And that our children will then develop the skills needed to be more emotionally, socially, and cognitively healthy. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Ms. Jane, for this presentation on play and the importance of a play-based childhood. You talked about how the use of phone, and I could also add to it the iPad, tablets overall can not help at all to have the kids developing the skills and everything, emotional skills as well. We want them to develop. I wrote down some questions myself to ask you, and if it's okay. The first one, you just spoke a bit about it, but if you could go deeper on most of us adults, parents, the phone is not for entertaining or just making a phone call nowadays. We use it for work, so it is part of our lives. We use it for everything nowadays, like tracking health, maps, GPS, and everything, right? Agenda as well, right? Our schedule and everything else. So how can I model the use of the phone for my children if I have to use my phone very often, sometimes most of the time?
Yes, absolutely. Well, I think, first of all, we can be very open with our children and just say, well, I need this for my job. This is very important. I need this for my work. And I'm also using my phone to even help me with many things, booking a flight, as you say, tracking our health. There's so many things that we use our phones for, even sometimes just connecting with other people. So I think we can say that to our children. This is what I do for my job. This is what I do for my work. However, what is also important is that we also give them that we become aware of actually how much we are spending on our phone, and maybe at times just scrolling through Instagram or Facebook, and making sure that we are more present with the people in our lives, the important people in our lives, so that we can actually put that phone away and let our children know right now, at this moment, I am present with you. We're going to spend some special time together. We're going to do things together. We're going to read a book. We're going to do a puzzle. We're going to play a game. And we start becoming more aware of how much time we use our phone. I'm going to actually tell you a story. My husband does not have a cell phone, and he's very, very proud of the fact. My children are all grown up, but if we do have our phones out, he actually refuses to even talk to us, because he insists that we put our phones away. We do not respond to them. And it actually I find it becomes much better, because what happens is, as soon as that phone lights up or there's a beep, we go to it. So we just need to, at times during the day, to really just put that phone away and say, no, I don't need it. I don't need to use it. I'm here for the important people around me. And I think that's how we can model for our children.
That's great. Yeah, nothing replaces the in-person relations, right? Everything we can learn from each other. Most time you can do it from your phone with the message, but it is totally different when you're face to face, paying fully attention to the person you're interacting to. That's a lot. That talks a lot about respect as well.
Yes, it does. Absolutely. Yeah.
It talks a lot. I have a second question, and this one I'm gonna bring a personal experience. We don't my kids, they don't have. I have very young kids, so they're 7, 5, and 3, so they don't have phones yet. My wife and I would discuss when we're gonna allow them to have their own phones. We tell my older kid, my older son, he always asks for it, and we say that when he turns 14, that's when we're going to allow him to have a phone, because that's when we're going to allow him to leave the house by himself. I don't know how it's going to be, but just retracting and being able to talk to him. But we don't allow them to use. We do have the iPads and we have our phones. We barely allow them to use the phones or the iPads at all. They don't use it at all during the school year. But when vacation comes, which is in a few weeks for us here in Brazil, or summer break, we allow them to use it freely. And well, we do have some boundaries on it, but we let them charge the iPad and watch on it, play some games. And what's happened in the past few winter and summer breaks, it's when school's about to start again, and they have to get back to their routine, we take the iPads out, and then we kind of hide them. Like they know where they are, but we don't let them charge. And it's always a struggle, because they're always very sad. They get angry about it. And so how should all of us parents that are allowing their children to use all the time, now they have listened to you, probably they're gonna be interested in reading the book as well that you have mentioned. How should we do it? How should we take this? Because this change is gonna produce a lot of friction, if we can say.
Yes. Well, I mean, the first thing I'm going to say, my kids are all grown up, so I'm past all of those phases now. But well, first of all, parenting isn't easy. Parenting is hard, and I think it needs to be hard, and we do have to make choices. We have to set boundaries and tell our children and make rules for our children, and some of them they won't like. but ultimately we're doing it to for them and to make them be safe, and to because we're the adult and we know. And I think too that allowing them, they know when they can have the iPad, or again, just sort of setting limits. I know it's difficult to take them away totally. I totally understand that. But just it's setting those limits, and you can have those conversations. Yes, you're just going to have this for so many hours today or so many minutes, and they can choose when they have it for that length of time. But okay, the time is up. Remember, that was our discussion. That was our rule. We're going to take it away, but you can have it back tomorrow. And certainly, I mean, children are going to become angry. They may not like it, and they may say things to you that you don't like. But I always say that's because they feel safe with you, and because they will always love you. And children will become angry over many things, and it's okay for them to be angry. That is part of growing up. I think it's just being clear, as we do in school, right? We're just clear on expectations. We're consistent. We are consistent, and realizing that, yeah, sometimes we have to make choices that our kids aren't going to like, but that's part of parenting. I don't know if that helps, but ultimately, I mean, I just think from this presentation, it does show that, if we do want our children to really be healthy and know how to form those positive relationships, then we do need to get back to being present with people in an authentic way as well.
That's great. Well, you mentioned the law that you have in Canada. We're going over the same experience here. So government is ruling on it, and kids are not allowed to have phones. Here at Maple Bear, they have never been allowed to have phones at the schools, even the older kids. So they can bring their phones, which is a good way of showing the importance of just experiencing real life, right? One last question, and I'm sorry for the too many questions that I'm asking you, but when we take the phones away from the kids, they're going to be bored, right? I just would like to get your perspective on boredom. Like, how do you see it? Is it okay? How do we? It bothers parents sometimes. We want them to be active, doing things all the time, learning stuff. I would like to know more about it. Your perspective, your personal and professional perspective on it.
I actually was just reading something else on early childhood, and it was saying that children actually need to learn to be bored. And to me, it's about, again, I think it fits in very much with that idea of anxiety. Kids need to learn to sit with themselves, just kind of be present in that moment. We talk a lot about mindfulness now, right? And so being present in that moment and allowing them to discover maybe things that they can do on their own. And it might not look terribly exciting, but, it can be anything. But for kids to just sit, and I even think sit and look and observe and just wonder, because to me, that's the magic as well of childhood. They don't always have to be busy every moment of the day. We need to learn to sit and be present.
And that definitely helps them be more creative. And
I think so. Absolutely. Yes.
My mom would probably say that I was a bad creative kid, because most of the time I would use creativity to do things that she didn't like a lot, but it was creative.
There you go.
There you go. But that's how you discover, right? Like, that's how you learn. That's how when you ask questions and you observe everything around you, that's when you learn and you get into a conclusion. And that's great. Thank you so much, Miss.
So welcome. Thank you.
Peck, again, so grateful for you. We hope you come back. I'm gonna ask Maple Bear Central Office to send you back. Maybe you move down here to Brazil closer to us with your family for some time for your winter and our summer, and then you can always have summer. But I just would like to thank you again for sharing this. So important, um, um, learning about how to best help our children be more children, and take the time to learn what they have to you, and be successful eventually, right? They are ready, but let's still be successful in the future to come. Thank you so much.
You're welcome. Thank you.
Bye, everyone. Obrigado.
Bye bye.